Honestly, Oliver, you really mastered sit. This method acting has to stop. Oh, well, hello, come in. Welcome to the Playwrights Round Table. My name is Theodore Ibert. Yes, this is my canine companion, Oliver. Playwrights Round Table is Central Florida's only year-round producer of original stage works. Writers are nurtured and critiqued in a free monthly workshop. Eventually, many scripts are developed into one-act shorts and showcased as a PRT production. Lucky for you, I have one of those shorts. I was just getting to that. Today's play is about the internal monologues of two writers in a coffee shop who nearly meet and fall in love. The play is called Third First Person and it was written by Dremann and directed by Sylvia Vicchiullo. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Young man enters the coffee shop, surveys it, smiles to himself wryly, goes to a table near the window, takes off his coat. He does not like coffee.
The young woman looks up from writing in her notebook, first noticing the coat, then noticing the young man.
He knows he is attractive. He knows it is an expensive coat. He's decidedly self-involved, but not so much as to be off-putting.
Intrigued by the visage of the attractive young man, the young woman sips her coffee coyly. Looking, but not looking. She herself is attractive, and a writer. I would never use a word like visage. She's smart enough to know it sounds dumb.
The young man notices the young woman, but immediately looks away. Unsure if in that last instant their eyes had met. Unsure if she was looking, or coyly not looking, simply not looking. There's an immediate tingling in his loins he is forced to ignore.
The young woman looks away, unsure if perhaps their eyes had met. Unsure if her coy looking but not looking was not so coy after all. She is beautiful and confident, but underneath not so far removed from the fat girl she once was in junior high.
In an effort to concentrate on not concentrating on his loins, the young man pretends to concentrate on the booting up of his laptop. Even though the booting of his laptop requires no human interaction. He feels the young woman must notice he is pointlessly watching the booting up and debates looking back at her, but does not. That would belay a lack of confidence and somehow make his haircut look less expensive. The young man looks over his shoulder, hoping for a valid distraction, and is rewarded by a chalkboard menu, clearly chalked by the steady hand of a bohemian art student.
The young woman instinctively feels the tendons in his neck stretch and knows his attention is diverted. So she allows herself a glance. His artfully unshaven jawline knows it's being looked at. The young woman is convinced she can hear his loins tingle.
The tingle is loud and insistent. He can feel the young woman's eyes on his jaw. Oh, he knows he looks thin and angular in this position and needing to redistribute the blood in his system, and not knowing he was about to do so, the young man suddenly stands and walks towards the counter.
The young man must have noticed the young woman looking and was off-put. The walk to the counter, a sign of disinterest. A clear affront. She feels fat and decides to return her attention to her notebook where she's been writing a short play. She is young and gifted, but has yet to find the artistic expression right for her particular gift. This is her 6th short play, and perhaps her last. Her 3rd one was produced in a festival in Chicago last summer and reviewed poorly in the Chicago Sun-Times. She's incapable of writing anything longer than 15 pages.
The young man is alarmed to not feel the young woman's eyes on his delicious backside. He knows it is his best feature. He knows it is irresistible and does not understand her disinterest. He's also alarmed to realize he's next in line at the coffee counter and does not like coffee. And is hypoglycemic and can't even eat many of the pastries and tarts in the display case, and will most likely be forced to order a $6 drink and then not drink it. Despite the coat and the $2,000 laptop sitting unattended behind him, he is beautiful, but underfinanced. He exits the line just in time, hoping at least the gay barista will appreciate his delicious backside and the young woman will not notice the bail.
She decides the way to attack this play is from the angle of the cliché. She decides to embrace the cliché, to revel in it, to set it in a coffee shop. Girl meets boy. To set it in the third first person. Both characters, because they are different characters and different first persons.
As the young man returns to his unattended laptop, he sees the young woman writing furiously in her notebook. Wonders if perhaps she is writing about him. Instinctively knows she is not. His foul mood from this morning returns in a flood. He feels weak and unloved, a poser and unpretty. Double-clicks to open the play he's been working on for weeks, but hates. Oh, he rubs his eyes and debates shaving his head for no other reason than to see what his skull looks like. Oh, he realizes he is pathetic. He realizes he probably has an ugly skull. He realizes that he is an unshaven 31-year-old man sitting in a coffee shop, writing a terrible play about a playwright in the third first person. The sin of writing sins, the cliché of writing clichés.
She writes quickly. She likes this idea of the third first person. She knows it's been done and been done better, but not unlike the mysteriously bad second person omniscient narrator phase that young short stories went through in the mid-90s. You are in a coffee shop. You are young and pretty, but insecure and ugly on the inside. You're reading a short story in the second person about a person like you, and the joke is on you. Blah, blah, blah.
The young man knows he is an empty vessel. A vacuous shell, a young man consumed by the nothingness of himself. He wants to write a play about that, but can't think what light he could possibly shed on the subject. Instead, his play is about a 31-year-old playwright sitting in a coffee shop, writing a terrible play about a 31-year-old playwright in the third first person. Boy meets girl. He begins to type.
She feels clever and funny and writes faster, knowing full well that her idea is not particularly clever or funny, but she knows that she must write in order to learn about what she's good at writing about, so that one day she can write a play that is clever and funny and will be reviewed well in the Chicago Sun-Times and make people think of themselves and others in a new and enlightened way.
He realizes the only thing worth writing about is himself. Because if his characters share his own self-loathing, then maybe they will be fully realized characters, because they will have an inner angsty longing as real and poignant as his own. And then maybe others can identify with that same inner angsty longing, even though he sometimes believes he alone is capable of feeling that way. And everyone else can produce nothing but inner monotonous joy. He types faster.
Oh, she is filled with an inner joy. She knows that inside of her is liquid light. She knows that it fuels her creativity, her passion, her writing in a totally non-religious, non-New Age crap way. The faster she writes, the more she wants to write. The light dripping directly on the page. Oh, her characters have become alive in her mind. In their own minds, they're dueling inner monologues, fresh and vital and wholly their own. The young woman having an epiphanic episode. The young man in crisis. But connection, love, a mere touch of the hand suddenly seeming impossible.
He aches. He realizes he has just typed about 9 lines of dialogue with his fingers off, one key to the left. And everything on the screen is the same jumble of letters he feels in his head, and every letter A was instead toggling the caps locks and the hieroglyphics, and it's all rubbish anyway. He wants to read a play about a self-loathing, monologue-spewing playwright anyway. He stops typing. The young man looks over at the beautiful young woman with the tangy, sweet breasts and wonders why he is incapable of feeling love.
The young woman stops writing. She can feel the beautifully unshaven man's eyes upon her once again. She had used him. She had forgotten about him. Now her mind has stopped working. The pen suddenly damp in her hand. With no rational explanation, her right breast feels tangy, the left sweet.
He considers the possibility that if he keeps looking at her, she will realize he is looking at her and she will turn. This time, he will not look away. He will meet her gaze head on. Nod hello. Well, he's wholly unattractive now, but he somehow embraces it. He cannot be coy. He cannot fake it. He waits. But it is challenging, not flirtatious. Overt, not direct. His loins are not tingling. If she sees him at his needy worst and still smiles, he will allow his loins to tingle once again. He feels that he is inside his own play. And his play is failing in real life as it failed on the page.
She feels the challenge. She knows that in order for her play to work, there must be an action, a
if he does not connect with her,
between
he will
the
not
two
find
main
true love.
characters.
He will never write a well-reviewed play.
Resolved. Her play is too cerebral. Her play is too static. The inner turmoil means nothing. There can't be any drama without her turning her head and acknowledging him, but the stakes are too high. The expectations too unrealistic. He's just a pretty man with an expensive coat. He can't be all that she's looking for, and she'll inevitably fail him. He will extinguish her liquid light. Yet it will soon become obvious she's not writing her pretentious play and not looking. She must act.
Perhaps this is the play where the main characters never connect. Conflict is their inability to connect. An opportunity missed. True love thwarted by fear. But he is no longer afraid. He needs her to fill his vacuous shell.
Her inner fat girl is screaming.
This brief explosion of confidence is quickly waning.
She turns her head.
Wonder if I can still make it to Fiddler's Green, craving a pint and some chips. Maybe Abigail will be there. She gives the greater service. They're all looking at me. Oh, the short is over. Well, how about that? Looks like we got a love connection. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching Playwrights Round Table. If you like the theatre, enjoy writing, directing, would like to audition, check out what's happening at the PRT website or join them on Facebook. Once again, I'm Theodore E. Baer, and I'll see you next time.